passe. Oh, l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De er i semifinale igjen!
Guess Daniel Dushabayev's shooting percentage.
58.
Brian?
52.
50 straight for Daniel Dushabayev.
Oh yeah.
Scores 1 out of 2 shots, and he takes quite a lot of them, and Spain are relying on him. So that's why I don't think that they're going to go extremely far in this competition.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Alex. Thank you, Brian. We'll be back with a bonus episode after Spain knock Norway out of the quarterfinals. Because that is definitely going to happen now. Handball.
Bloody hell.
Great commitment to that one, Campo.
Trying to read your lips there.
They've done it again. Norway. Was it Norway who did it again? Or Spain who did it again? That's what we're going to go into at some point. But first, let's do a little bit of housekeeping before. Welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hour. It's Chris here. Campo's here.
Hello.
And in his evil Twitter booth of doom, which you can't see, but I tell you what, it looks good, Alex Goulash.
Hey, Chris.
Just for all the listeners at home, Alex is wearing a black turtleneck at the moment, so I'm just predicting some very, very evil hot takes are going to come up throughout this episode today. So expect the most evil Alex Goulash you've ever heard on the mic.
Well, actually, I'm wearing all black because I'm mourning my reputation as a handball pundit with my comments in the last podcast. Again, and again.
To be fair, it's happened to you a few times in this championship. But that's the price of putting yourself out there, and we should have seen this coming. It's the exact same semi-final lineup as 2 years ago at the World Championship. Not just the 4 teams, but also the semi-final.
Yeah, and it is the same 4 teams of the last. It's 3 of the last 4 championships, including the Olympics, which wasn't that semi-final lineup. The championship before that was the same. The Euros were the same. It's the same again, but it's 4 damn good teams in the semi-final. We have Spain, who will play Denmark, and Sweden, who will play France. Really 4 top teams. Well, maybe 3 and Spain, who do their own thing.
Spain just keep on Spaining. We also have a short interview coming up later on with Eric Johansson. I'm just back from the Swedish media call. Everyone very hyped there, but also a little bit of a somber mood with Jim Gottfriedson out for the championship. He was going to be made available at some point to speak to all the media, but we know that he doesn't fancy speaking in English, and I'm not sure how good me huddling around with 20 or 30 other Swedish journalists sticking my recorder in there and picking up Swedish content would be for this pod. But there you go. That's coming up in a little bit. Shall we set the scene with the big game, or should we talk about? Let's talk about Denmark-Hungary first, shall we? Let's ease ourselves in there.
It's perfect. That's good one for everyone. So this part is, of course, going to be available for everyone. We can talk about the game of the night, Hungary versus Denmark. And then the rest of the podcast will be exclusively available on Patreon. We have opened up a new tier. So that is the Empty Net Club. In the last podcast, we did say that you can pay what you want, but the functionality of Patreon is a little bit annoying. So we've had to set a tier at $3, which I hope can facilitate anyone joining our little Patreon community. But there is a way of also paying what you want. So if you want to pay $1 or $2, if that's what you can do in whatever country or region you're in,
or 1,000,
or 1,000, you can still do 1,000 if you want. You can still do that. We posted on the tier in Patreon how to also pay whatever you want, or you can just go with the lower $3 amount for the rest of the championship. And going forward, we will continue to bring exclusive content. But yeah, give us a shout on Twitter or anywhere if you're struggling with that. I also posted a video link of how to actually do that by just going through the Patreon /handball hour link. So you can find that on Twitter as well. So do sign up, and it's a lot of fun there. And we got a lot of great content. But let's start with Hungary versus Denmark. Denmark won. Hungary didn't try. Let's move on.
How disappointing!
Absolutely awful, and it looked like the first game of the preliminary round or something. And they thought, we have plenty of games to come back from. Let's not blow our load now. It just seemed like, even looking at the reactions on the bench and everything, that they were just so sure of losing beforehand that they're just like, let's not bother making an effort. And Gabor Ansin in defence, I don't know what he was doing half the time. And that you pointed out in commentary as well, Chris, there was one stage where they 2 players up or 1 player up.
One player
and he was just 1 player up, and he just got caught completely sleeping and then half-heartedly going for the ball when the ball was passed to the wing. And I was just like, I saw this and I was like, this is awful. And I mean, very little reaction in the second half either. I don't know, it's just, they're such a frustrating country to watch sometimes. And I think if you're a Hungarian fan, it must be unbelievably frustrating to support them, because they can be unbelievable or you can get that as well.
I have a theory. My theory is that Hungary got their quarterfinal place. They have qualified for the Olympic qualification tournament. That is their target. They watched on the TV as they qualified, and then they went on the beers. They had a huge party to celebrate their progression, hitting their target, and they were playing Denmark, so they knew they were never going to win, except they have done that in the past. But I think that the party was too big to overcome a couple of days later.
Oh, God. Well, who knows? They had a couple of days to recover anyway. But yeah, I mean, that's with that in mind, like, it's a shot to nothing. It's a free hit. Like, you just go for it and see what happens. But it seemed like Mate Lekoi was the only one who was really, like, giving it a go in the first quarter of the game. And they weren't that far behind. I think it was... At one point, it was 14-10, and this is heading towards the end of the first half. It's a point in the game that I've really made myself focus a lot on at this championship, because there's been so many games where there's a clear disparity in the quality of the teams on paper, and that is the key phase of the game where teams are set apart. Either it's a close game and one team runs away with it, or the underdogs are winning and they have to hold on for that period of the game. So I'm talking like minutes 22 to 30. And this is like the key point for Sweden always. And when they've torn teams apart, we'll speak about that later. But also here for Hungary, they needed to hold on desperately. And things were getting a little bit out of hand. Chema Rodriguez took his second time out already. And I was like, okay, that's smart. He's doing it now. So they're going to try and stay within range here, give themselves something to play for in the second half. They took the time out, and then it just got even worse, and they ended up going into the break 21-12 down. And after that, there's not too much to talk about in the second half. Maybe we can just praise Denmark a little bit, because they were once again, with Pitlick, Hansen and Giesel, phenomenal.
Yeah, I think we can probably leave it at that. We've talked a lot about that trio. they did it again, and they're going to come up against a very tough defense in Spain, which I'm really interested to see how Spain react to that backcourt, because they handled Norway pretty well until Norway didn't handle themselves.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
A ridiculous ending. Is it the biggest bottle job in handball ever?
That could
Yes.
well be the biggest bottle job in handball ever. And this is where we're going to leave the free part. So if you want to hear all about this, it's time to sign up to Patreon for as little as $1. Oh my God. I cannot believe it.
Can I just talk through those last 19 seconds?